So I get it. I know that it sounds very extreme when we start talking about concepts like concentration camps on American soil. But it's happened before in our history. These are the internment camps. The last one closed in 1946, and hundreds of thousands of Americans were rounded up and put into these internment camps, mostly over on the West Coast. And they were bussed in and trained in just like this. These are American men, good, honest, hardworking American soldiers just doing what they were told as they bussed in and trained in all of these Japanese Americans, amongst others, people who had committed no crimes, anything. They were just rounded up because of their ethnicity. There was a huge turn against the Japs, as they called them, during the war, during World War II, after the bombing of Pearl Harbor. And so all of these innocent Japanese, these Americans that were of Japanese descent and living here in America, were rounded up for no other reason than fear mongering, and they were put into these internment camps. And here's an article. This is the History Channel. I don't know if the screenshot goes up high enough, but this is just mainstream History Channel. Japanese internment in America. In 1942, thousands of Japanese Americans living in the United States are forced into war relocation camps. 2 months after the Japanese bombing of Pearl Harbor, U.S. President Franklin D. Roosevelt signed Executive Order 9066, ordering all Japanese Americans to evacuate the West Coast. This resulted in the relocation of approximately 120,000 people, many of whom were American citizens, to one of 10 internment camps located across the country. So, it says that some of the Japanese American citizens were allowed to return to the West Coast beginning in 1945, years and years later. And the last camp was closed in March of 1946. So this wasn't something that happened 1,000 years ago. This was 1946. That's what, 70 years ago. There were so many children in the camp. I'm sure there are people who were in concentration camps in the United States of America who are still alive to testify how they were just innocent citizens kicked out of their homes and made to relocate to concentration camps, not in Nazi Germany, but in the United States of America. And they're still probably alive today. So when we talk about these things, I know it's uncomfortable, but for people to say that it's unfathomable, you're wrong. Then you need to be educated, and you need to wake up, because these are the things that people do. And all it would take is one false flag event, just like some shadow government could blow up the United Nations in Geneva and just say that right-wing Christians did it. And that's the exact tactic that Adolf Hitler used when they burned the Reichstag down. And then that was where the German parliament was housed. And then they blamed it on a specific individual and said he was seen at the scene. And they used it to suspend civil liberties. And they went out immediately, just by decree, and started rounding people up. And that was the beginning of all of that. And you'll notice here with President Roosevelt, that's exactly what he did. The stroke of a pen. There wasn't a vote or anything. And we've seen with these presidential determinations over these last several years that we're pretty much already, we have a king, a fascist sort of government. We're not allowed to vote on anything anymore. The president just makes these presidential determinations, and it's as if they're law. Don't think that it can't happen, because this is how it always happens. So it doesn't just happen this way in other countries. It happened this way in our own country already, in our lifetime, in the lifetime of people who are still alive today. That being said, I'm going to go into the Walmart video and show you how Sam Walton, the founder of Walmart, worked in these camps, helped organize the concentration camps in America, that he was employed not only by the government of the United States, but by the military of the United States of America. And he was heavily involved in the last round of concentration camps on American soil. And that's why he was chosen to set up this network, this distribution network that reaches into every tiny town in America.
There's something weird going on with Walmart? Are we now seeing the true form of one of the world's largest companies? Is Walmart an entity of the government, operating in the private sector, meant to usher in martial law? Is its purpose found even in its name? Fact number 1. To understand the truth about Walmart, you first need a history lesson. The founder, Sam Walton, is long deceased, but his legacy is very much alive. What is he remembered for? Well, you may not know that Sam Walton was a part of the U.S. intelligence agency during World War II and a security chief over internment camps located inside of the United States. These camps held hundreds of thousands of whites of German and Italian descent and Asians of Japanese descent. They were held there after FDR violated their constitutional rights. Sam Walton oversaw these prisoners of war. The Walmart U.S. government connection is not new, you see. It goes way, way back. From 2001 through 2016, Walmart has received an estimated $50 to $100 billion in secret subsidies granted by the U.S. government. There are entire websites dedicated to following Walmart's grants, tax breaks, and earmarks. These websites unanimously agree that Walmart has received tens of billions of dollars in kickbacks over the years. Why are they getting so much money? Is it merely to keep their prices low? Or is it for other expenditures? Walmart has struck a deal with the U.S. government, hiring 130,000 reserve, active duty, and veterans in the United States over the past 3 years. A massive force of highly trained and skilled soldiers. It's an odd fact, because recently they just fired thousands of regular workers and closed 269 stores because of financial problems.
So not only was Sam Walton a member of the government and the military, but he absolutely did supervise and organize and take part in the last round of internment camps set up in the United States of America, where they rounded up American citizens and held them in internment camps. And he was sanctioned. He has been endowed by the government to set up this network, this distribution network that stretches its tentacles into every single small town in America. And we know, just look, all of the Walmarts are set up close to interstates, close to railroad tracks. And now, as this thing is moving forward, we're starting to see the disaster response team, which started in the early 2000s, and this is directly off of their website. It's not a conspiracy site. This is one of my other videos that I put up last week or whatever. I'll put the links to my other videos from Hurricane Irma and Harvey and the microchipping, and then this one and all of that. I'll put those links below. They also have, this is Walmart's website, so this is not some conspiracy. This is nobody's second opinion. This is what they put out about themselves. They say there are 6 disaster distribution centers strategically located across the country and stocked to provide rapid response to communities in the event of a natural disaster. Each distribution center is more than 1 million square feet in size, and they distribute to 90 to 100 stores each. So it's not that this hasn't occurred to them. So now, since the early 2000s, they started doing the transition into the disaster response and response to terrorist attacks and things of that nature. And then they have now, with the implementation of Obamacare, they set up all these kiosks in all of the stores to get people. You can get your vaccines, you can get your injections right there, you can sign up for the government Obamacare right there in Walmart stores. These machines right down here on the bottom, again, I'll put the links to this video. This is from one of my other videos. That's a chip reader for the microchips, for the mark of the beast in your hands, where we will have tracking implants and all of our information on these microchips. And there's the chip reader right there on these kiosks will be set up in Walmart, and they have already in their distribution centers, they are on the forefront of the chipping movement. You know, we've heard about the people in Wisconsin and stuff with the break room, and all of that was on the news, but we haven't heard about Walmart, and they have begun chipping their employees. So they've moved beyond. Now they have the network set up with the disaster response team. They have the chipping machines, they have the cameras everywhere, they have the facilities, they have the distribution next to the interstates and the railroad tracks. Now they've begun the last phase in the transition, which is the underground tunnels and the underground basement type parts of the facilities. So let's just take a look at what a few people have posted online, and you know, just what we're seeing everywhere.
YouTube community, I'd like to show you this. I found that it has a license plate for Arkansas, and as you can see, this is a Walmart disaster response team. This pretty much confirms that this is going to be a FEMA camp and martial law and all that.
Hello, I make this video not a happy man. I'm at the neighborhood Walmart in San Jose, California. And this is what it has become. I did not want to believe it, but it's happening. Anyone who knows anything about jail or anything about that knows what this is. That is a holding area.
And this is actually where they're hearing these booms. Actually, this particular one is, and this one as well. You see that both of these have these reservoirs, these little sunken reservoirs behind the Walmart parking lot. This is Wisconsin, and I've got some of Florida and Arkansas and, you know, Louisiana and different places all over the United States. And it turns out that every Walmart has one of these little usually dried up, sometimes they have water, but every one of them has one of these. And I'm going to show you a close-up here. Okay, now if you notice, there is towards the parking lot, going towards Walmart, there are drainage openings, you might say. That's what you would think they would be, right? Culverts or openings that go in the direction of Walmart. Now that's interesting, and they're all this way, because if it was an outlet for flooding or something, then the drainages would be going away from Walmart towards the city sewer or lines or something. But the openings come from Walmart and into these big reservoirs. And invariably, I've seen almost all of them start where the shipping area is, where they pull the trucks up in the back, where they do their unloading with their distribution centers. And right where the trucks pull in, there is an opening and some sort, as if there's something going on. I mean, can you imagine in every one of these Walmarts, what is it that's in there that they would need to drain, right? Because we're not draining the streets. That the city handles that, drainage in the streets and, you know, in case of flooding and so forth. And it's certainly not the sewer. That's not the open sewer. It's a drainage for something. And it's draining. You see the two drainage holes, openings, apertures, right there, as they're always toward the parking lot, towards Walmart. And so what is it that Walmart needs to drain? Because you see Walmarts do this, but I don't see this happening with Kmart's, or I don't see Home Depots doing this. So what is it that Walmart needs with these large reservoirs in their backyards?
We have created of all the Jade Helm Walmart closing episodes across the country. Strangely enough, we have found that all the closed Walmarts are very close to railway lines. Access points such as this at Pico Rivera Walmart, which is only 1/10 of a mile from the closed down store.